Plane hi everyone! Today, I'm going to talk about a major weather event that happened in northern China in mid-April 2025. It was a crazy combination of super strong winds and massive sandstorms. And it affected a lot of people, especially in Beijing, the capital city. I'll break it down so we can understand what happened, why it was such a big deal, and what it means for the future. First, let's start with the winds. In Beijing, the wind speeds reached up to 150 kilometers per hour. That's about 90 miles per hour. To put that into perspective, that's faster than most cars driving on the highway. These were some of the strongest winds Beijing has experienced in over 75 years, which means it's been a really long time since anything like this happened. The winds were caused by a cold vortex, which is like a big spinning storm of cold air that started over Mongolia, a country just north of China. These powerful winds caused a lot of problems. They were so strong that they uprooted hundreds of trees. Imagine walking outside and seeing trees completely tipped over. The winds also damaged cars and buildings, and some roads were blocked because of debris flying around or falling over. Even air travel was affected. Nearly 700 flights were canceled because it wasn't safe for planes to fly. That's a huge number of people who couldn't travel that day. Now, let's talk about the sandstorms. These weren't just ordinary storms. They were filled with dust and sand that got picked up from faraway deserts, like the Gobi Desert and the Taklamakan Desert. These deserts are massive areas of dry land with lots of loose sand. When the wind blows hard, it lifts the sand into the air and carries it to places like Beijing. The sand made it really hard to see outside, almost like trying to look through a thick, dusty fog. Breathing was also difficult because the air was full of tiny dust particles that could make people cough or feel unwell. Because of all this, the authorities in China took action to keep people safe. They sent out warnings, urging everyone to stay indoors until the wind and sand settled down. They issued high-level wind alerts, which means the situation was very serious. They also closed major public places like parks and famous landmarks, including the Forbidden City, a huge palace in Beijing that's a popular tourist destination. Closing it was a big deal because it's almost always open to visitors. This weather event was challenging for many reasons. For one, it disrupted daily life. People couldn't easily go to work or school, and many were likely worried about their homes, cars, or personal safety. It also showed just how powerful nature can be. Even a big, bustling city like Beijing can be brought to a standstill by extreme weather. On top of that, the sandstorms were harmful to people's health. Breathing in all that dust can hurt your lungs, especially for children or older adults. So, why does this happen? Northern China is close to those large deserts, so it's more likely to experience these kinds of storms. When the weather gets really cold or windy, it stirs up the sand and sends it flying. Scientists believe these storms might be getting worse because of global climate changes. Things like hotter summers or colder winters can make storms stronger or more frequent. This event teaches us a few important lessons. First, we need to be prepared for extreme weather. Cities like Beijing are working on plans to protect people, such as sending out early warnings or planting more trees to act as windbreaks. Second, it reminds us to take better care of our planet. If we can keep the environment healthier, we might be able to reduce the impact of storms like this in the future. That's the story of the big wind and sandstorm in China. It was a wild event that showed us how powerful nature can be and why it's so important to stay prepared. Thanks for listening.